Hey, it's Brendon Payne again, and I wanted to talk today about a topic that I still see a lot of conversation about on some of the forums and the bulletin boards where agents are trying to figure out how to generate more business, and that has to do with marketing yourself to your databases and also drip campaigns. If you think about the term drip campaigns, if you're working on trying to establish a quality drip campaign as a tool or a pillar to generate more business out of your database or people you've talked to in the past, you are way behind the curve. Drip campaigns by themselves are dead. Now, are they still effective in some ways? Yes, they are effective, but the rules have changed. So I wanted to go through and get you up to speed on how to effectively pull business from your database. So let's talk about like really what's changed and where it's come from. If you think back, if you were in the business back in 2005, 6, and 7, at that point in time, that was just the very earliest stages, probably late 2006 and early 2007 were the first the first mention of any type of drip campaigns being set up. And they were typically manually done. They weren't these canned presentations that come with every real estate lead system and every CRM. You basically had an email marketing system that you could put all of your contacts in. And then you had a little template that was archaic compared to what's available today. And you just would, I remember we would go through each month, we'd kind of think about what's the topic that the consumer is talking about. And we would write 4 or 5 paragraphs and educate the consumer. And at the time, there weren't a lot of people that were adopting that early on. So the return was incredible. Over time, they were getting something every month and it was branded with our information. We became a household name for them. And for about 3 or 4 years, then that was pretty effective. Now you fast forward, and that's been 12, 13 years ago. Now fast forward to what you have to do today to be effective. And it's a completely different picture. Now, if you think about what's changed, then it becomes pretty clear why just using a drip campaign or just focusing on a drip email campaign is ineffective. First of all, everybody started using them. So at that time, remember, these were all manual. You had to subscribe for a service, and that was the same service that maybe your local insurance agent was using. There was nothing specific to real estate. Now, every system, every lead system, every CRM, every expired withdrawn service, every one of them has their own little canned boilerplate drip campaign. So over time, they became very accessible. Nobody had to think about it, and they started blasting people with it. So the frequency with which people started getting stuff increased significantly. Also, the quality of the content that was going out to people diminished significantly. So when you're just sending out a boilerplate email campaign that everybody else might be using in town, then the quality goes down. So what did that mean? That meant that the consumer just stopped opening them. They just didn't, it was spam. They were getting too many of them and it became less effective. At the same time, there were so many new additional ways that people started consuming the content. So in 2004, 5, and 6, and 7, you pretty much were talking on the phone with somebody, or you were getting an email from them. We weren't texting, we weren't messaging through social media, and we weren't watching a lot of videos of people at that time, especially within this industry. So if you think about what's evolved, there's so many other ways that the consumer is getting their information now. So that brings me to what has to happen at this point. So if I'm saying just email doesn't work, then what do you have to be looking at doing? And the term is you have to be hitting them with multi-channel marketing. So meaning you have to be hitting them with all kinds of different, same message, but different mediums. So your email drip campaigns are one factor. You also have to be in contact through text. You have to be in contact through phone, through actually making calls to follow up. Also, they have to be able to find you and your message on social media. Where is the consumer? And if you find out where the consumer is, then that's where you have to be in order to make the same impression that you did 10 years ago with one factor or with one source or one resource, which was email marketing. Now you have to be in 5, 8, maybe 10 different forms in order to be able to grab their attention. That's multi-channel marketing. Now, this brings up the question of, well, how do I pull this off? In my opinion, for an individual agent to pull this off effectively, to just think about if you're trying to figure out a CRM or an email marketing campaign, that sometimes can be difficult enough. What do I say? How do I deliver it? What's the template? There can be things that just stop people in their tracks. Now you start adding in all of these different avenues that you really need to be doing to be effective with the people that you're communicating with, because someone else is getting them more quality content more consistently. How do you do that? Really, in my opinion, is the company that you're working for. It's their responsibility. This is something that when done at scale, meaning the systems that you put in place, when they're done at scale, it becomes much more manageable. The content that is written becomes much more manageable. The delivery systems is much more manageable, and the expense is much more manageable. So with our agents, this is something that we take off their plate because we know it has to be done, but it's nearly impossible for the single agent or small team to be able to pull this off at scale without completely distracting them from what they're actually needing to be doing, which is generating more business. So if you're behind a little bit in this, don't worry, there's still time to catch up. Also, if you're wondering about what can we offer for the agent that maybe has a good group of database, centers of influence, past clients, or just people that you've talked with in the past, how do you communicate with them effectively and put a multi-channel marketing system together? Give me a call. I'd love to explain exactly what we do for our agents and see if it might be a good fit for you. Thanks a lot.